This Brachos Daf Gimel of the Daf Yomi Yerushalmi. And we have to start from the bottom of Beis on the Beis, where it speaks about the shear of Tzeis Kochavim. It says, the lace or chasom b'yom amma. The stars about are the stars which they're not normally seen during the day. Those which can be seen during the day, which are planets, as we shall see momentarily, actually, we don't use them. As long as you see three stars besides one star. Now, according to the Gra's understanding of the Girsa of the Gemara as it's written in front of us, it means that the one star is called Kochav, and the star called Kochav is Venus, and that means that that's the star which is always seen during the day. So you have to say three stars besides that one. It seems to be still lower, shorter period for Bein Hashmashos than the Bavli, which says you need Shlosh Kochavim Benonim, but it's besides that first star, you need three other stars. The Charedim changes the Girsa. Charedim was Girsa as Uvachi Scham with Shlosh Kochavim Dedamin Kachar Kochavta. There should be three stars which look like one star. And the Rash Cirilio has a similar pshat, and the Gra also has this different girsa, and he brings down the Sefer Charedim Kachi girsa Rabbeinu Nisim Bereish Meseches Yuma Pirsh Inyan Tosefes. This is going on. Additionally, adding on, it's Lo Michola Kodesh Gam Motzei Shabbos. You have to add from the weekday on to onto the Shabbos. Tosefes Shabbos, also Motzei Shabbos. There should Tzorich Losif Biknisaso, like you have to add on when it comes in Kamar. V'chriach Harav, and the Ran says the Biknisas Man Tosefes Mitchil Shkia Sachama at Sof Shkia. Come on. The Tosefes and Erev Shabbos is from the beginning of Shkia until the end of Shkia, as we shall see. But Tiyaso, and at the end, Hevi Rayim Yerushalmi Zeh. At the end of Shabbos, he brought evidence in this Yerushalmi Shetzorich Losif Ad Shiur Shlosh Kochavim Smuchim Ritzufim. You should see three stars packed tightly together. Shnika Kochav Echad. They look like one star. If he's according to this Halosh and Shama Yerushalmi El Shekshinu Shlosh Kochavim Patur. That which it says when you saw according to this what it said Yerushalmi before. When you see three stars, you're Patur. Kamashmos Kopature Shabbos to Patur Avol Asur. Stam three stars is not three stars which includes Tosefes Shabbos. Tosefes Shabbos has to be three stars packed close together. Perhaps that's similar to the three Kochavim Beinonim of the Bavli. So there, according to this, there would be Patur like any other Patur Shabbos. Yesterday we were Mesupuk. Whether it's Patur here means like any other Patur on Shabbos, or Patur Avol Asur, or Patur here just references Karbanos. So Sefer Charedim says that the reference here is to Patur Avol Asur like any other Patur on Shabbos. Then he Laila Hava Beharosh Shlosh Kochavim Bilti Smuchim. Granted, it's nightfall already when you see three stars not adjacent to each other. The prohibition of doing the prohibition which comes from the din. Well, it's not even in the Rabbanon. Tosefes Shabbos is din daraisa, but it's not a chiyuv misa and not a chiyuv korban. So it's that halacha of Tosefes Shabbos so you see three close together, and the Ran writes them, if they're scattered, you're still allowed to do malacha because of Tosefes. V'hash kamar Rabbi Yossi, the ein heter gomer el kshu smuchin. That's Rabbi Yossi saying that there is no absolute heter to do malacha until you see three kochavim, which are three stars which are adjacent to each other. So that is according to changing of the girsa, which again is taking into account the possibility. Again, possibly taking into account the difference in stages between the first stars and stars which are seen close together, which obviously would be stars which are a later stage of Tzeis Kochavim. Okay, so continuing on, Rabbi Yaakov the Rumna. Yaakov came from the south, So b'shem Rabbi Yehuda bar Pazi, kochav echad vadayom. If it's one star, it's definitely day. Shnayim laila. Two is night. The leis suffix. So I want to ask, there's no suffix? We said before that one is day, two is suffix, and three is night. He doesn't have a suffix. Islay suffix and kochav v'kochav. So he does have a suffix between stars. In other words, his time of suffix is much shorter than anybody else's time. But Pnei Moshe says, "Shiny le islay suffix b'ho the polik a time of brisa leil." In this respect, you are in the time of the previous brisa. The kachashiv shnayim musafik will call it's two or safik liday. L'moshev safik el ben kochav rishon kochav sheni. It's only a suffix between the first star and the second star. Tani, sorry. Kos match mizrach madimim. As long as the eastern sky is red, zehu yom. That's considered to be day. Hichsifu, it became dark. Zehu ben hashmashos. Again, this eastern sky, the sun sets in the west. There's the eastern sky. Hishchiru, when they become dark. Nasa elyon shava letachton, when they become absolutely dark, and the bottom is the top is equivalent to the bottom. That is laila. That's considered to be absolute night. So the looking at the sky as a big dome. So the Moshe says hishchiu shneim shenaseh elyon shukiba. The top of the dome is as dark as the bottom of the dome on the east side. That's considered to be night time. Now, there can still be ambient light in the west, according to the Shitas of Yerushalmi here. But the top of the dome and the eastern side of the dome are both completely dark. That's night. Okay, and it's Yishchiru as opposed to Yichsifu. Yichsifu is gray, somewhat darker, but not darkest, and that's Yishchiru. Rebbe says, "Halavana b'tkufasa the moon in the height of its circuit of the month." The Pnei Moshe says, "Halavana b'tkufasa k'shaocha be'emtza b'halavana be'emtza chodesh zeh tkufasa." Says dark allows the tchilas halayla. Fortunately, nowadays we look much at the skies, but so we don't notice when the moon rises and the moon sets. But Pnei Moshe tells us in Chazak HaChaver that during the middle of the month, the moon rises at the beginning of the night. Okay, so when the orb of the sun starts setting, and the orb of the moon starts rising, that's ben hashmashos. And the Pnei Moshe says, from the beginning of Shkia, that's why they call Ben Hashmashos. Which is also the time when the moon starts rising on the other side. Amar Rabbi Chanina, Sof Galgal Chama L'Shakea, the end of the orb of the sun setting, L'Tchilas Galgal Levana La'alos, and the beginning of the orb of the moon to come up. So according to Pnei Moshe, he's arguing. He's arguing, saying that the end of Shkias Acham is Ben Hashmashos, and that's when the moon starts coming up. The Chareim says he agrees. Chareim says that he's low polig. He doesn't argue on Rebbe. He does not argue on Rebbe. He says that Rabbi Chanina here is not a Tana, but an Amora, so he couldn't argue on Rebbe. He's one of the generation of Yochanan. And Mashabish Lashon Brisa Shel Rebbe. He changes the Lashon Brisa of Rebbe. Kamar the Hachi Girsas. This is a way to learn it. Sof Galgal Chama. So that takes about 4 minutes, I believe, for the sun to rise or sink beneath the horizon. So he's saying, according to what Rebbe said, it sounds like when the sun is still above the horizon, it's still already considered to be Ben Hashmashos. So he says no. It's when the sun goes beneath the horizon. Only then does Ben Hashmashos begin. The Tani Shmuel. Shmuel said, and Tani Shmuel came. Shmuel also taught us like this. Tani in the Yerushalmi does not necessarily mean a brisa. It most means statement of Amora. Ein alabana zarachas. The moon does not rise, and the Gra puts in the word here Ella b'shasha chama shokas. Moon can only rise once the sun has set. Obviously, there are days in the month when the moon is visible even during the day, but at the middle of the month, so then the moon only rises after the sun is set. So again, el b'shasha chama shokas, v'lo shokas el b'shasha chama zarachas. Again, we grew up with the word ella, and the converse as well. It only sets when the sun rises. Rabbi Shmuel bar Chia bar Yehuda b'shem Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Shmuel bar Yehuda said, "Name Rabbi Chanina. He's still gaga chamal l'shakea." Once you see the sun beginning to set, remember, Rabbi Chanina is the one who holds that the beginning of the sun setting is not yet bein hashmashos. He'll still gaga chamal l'shakea. Adam ome b'rosh Carmel. A person could stand at the top of Har Carmel on the on the on the height of Har Carmel, which overlooks the Mediterranean Sea. And he goes down and he travels himself in the sea. And he comes up and he eats truma because chazak of yom tov. In order to eat truma, you need harev shemesh. It has to be after the sun sets, after nightfall, after you went to mikvah during the preceding day. So it's possible to get down from the top of Har Carmel to the sea and go and dunk into the water before the actual full sunset occurs. Hadar Tema, Rabbi says that that's only true about who the Azale Bekupandria. Bekupandria, only you take the shortcut. I don't know what the shortcut was back then, but there was a shortcut. Baramba who the Azale Istra, the one who goes on the regular road, Lobada, he's not going to make it in time. I assume the regular road has zigzagged a bit because obviously when you go up a mountain, the road has to curve in order to only have a gradual incline and decline, but perhaps there's some way to scoot down the mountain directly if you're on foot and get there very quickly. Okay, and but that way you have a chance of getting there before night, before Ben Hashmashos and traveling on time. Ezu Ben Hashmashos. So what is Ben Hashmashos? Amar Bitan Chuma Letipa Shel Dam. It's like a drop of blood. Shinasuna Gabi Chada Shel Saif, which is on the tip of a sword. And it divides. The amount of time it takes to divide from that tip. That's bein hashmashos, and this is similar to what Bavli brings down the shita that bein hashmashos is terrifying. Bein hashmashos is very quick. So he's saying, why does he choose this metaphor? Tipas dam. So Mashbiach says it's because the sun, as it's setting, looks red like blood. So therefore, they chose this metaphor of tipa shel dam. That's one opinion. This is the first opinion. Then we have other opinions. Eza ben hashmashos. What's a ben hashmashos? Next opinion. Mishatishka chama. When the time the sun sets, k'eshayich adam chatzi mil. Divrei michemia. It's also in the Bavli. Half a meal. It was in ben hashmashos care of ayin. V'lo cham chamim la'amodolav. So actually here it is in the Yerushalmi too. And the Gilin Ephraim changes around the order. One of the unfortunately appears sometimes in the back of the Yerushalmi, sometimes in the on the bottom of the page in the Yerushalmi, in the Vilna edition. He changes the order in order to put these two shitas next to each other, the Herafine and the Tipa Shel Dam. So these because they're similar. Could not ascertain it with precision because it's so quick. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Acha, Yasmin, Rabbi Yosef, and Rabbi Acha were sitting. So Amar Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Acha. He said to him, "Lo mistar sof chatzi mil Rabbi Nechemia keheref ayin the Rabbi Yosef." It doesn't make sense to say that the heref ayin of Rabbi Yossi comes after the half meal of Rabbi Nechemia. Amay afana savar kain. I also hold that way, yeah. But Rabbi Chizkiah lo amar kain. Rabbi Chizkiah did not say that. He said it's not afterwards. El kol heref ayin beheref ayin shebechatzi meal Rabbi Nechemia safeku. He said, according to him, the heref ayin is at some point within a chatzi meal. We just don't know when it is. but it's not not precisely at the end of the chatzim meal. It's sometime in the middle of the chatzim meal. Armani Mremar. I'm going to say Kushiyasa Kami Rabbi Chizkiah. I asked a question for Rabbi Chizkiah. Katnina Tamon, like we learned over there. Ra Achas Bayom Achas Bein Hashmoshos. So this is talking about a zav, and the Moshe says here that there's a lot missing which we have to see. What it says, Moshe says, "Achas chaser kam ba'atoka." Missing here very often. You have in the Yerushalmi that there's missing sections which should have been copied over. Is how we learned at the end of the first parak of Masechah Zavim. Achas Sayom. He saw one flow of ziva today, achas ben hashmoshes, and one ben hashmoshes. Achas ben hashmoshes, one ben hashmoshes, achas lemachar, and one the next day. Im yodua shemiksas v'chulei. If you know that part of it is divided, etc. Din zavhu, the halacha of zavhu shemitame bir'ios uviyamim, is mitame in sightings and in days. We saw 3 sightings of one day, or 3 sightings in 2 days, or 3 days. As long as they are 3 days in a row, consecutive. That there's no day of Tara between the Rios. In all these circumstances, Tamei v'chayav a carbon has to be a carbon as well. If you just saw 2 Rios, he's part of a carbon. But he is toving for 7 days. So this person saw 1 Riyah today. And 1 during twilight. 1 during twilight, 1 the following day. If you know that for sure that part of the sighting that he saw today, he saw at the end of the day, a little bit at the beginning of the night, the next day, even though there was no interruption between them of the shear of the amount of time it takes to toivel and to dry oneself off, which is the normal shear to divide one sighting into 2 sightings. Nevertheless, they're considered to be like 2 sightings because the days divide up. In other words, even though there's not an interruption in the sighting, it's one flow, because 2 days it's divided up. He'll go vade l'tum the carbon. So therefore, it's a definite chiyuv tuma and chiyuv carbon. There's going to show shrios. The 3 rios. Those are ben hashmashos. One ben hashmashos nechlekas l'shtayim. It's divided 2. Came and sheish b'shnei yomim, because it has 2 days, one on each side of the ben hashmashos. So katina tamon. The question is based on what it says there. Achas b'yom achas ben hashmashos. So 1 today and 1 ben hashmashos, or achas ben hashmashos v'achas machar, 1 ben hashmashos and 1 the next day. Im yodesh miksas riyam yom miksas lemachar. If you see that part of it is today, part of it is the next day, vade l'tum carbon. You definitely have to pay. It's definitely a chiyuv tuma or carbon. And in Safek, I'm sorry, going over a bit just to finish the thought, but we'll come back to it tomorrow. In Safek, if it's a Safek, we don't know. It was over the course of 2 days. Vade l'tuma v'safek l'carbon. And it's definitely Tomei, because it's definitely 2 sightings. Safek carbon, it's a Safek if there are 3 sightings to be chayav carbon. So, what is exactly the question here? Well, we're only going to finish the question after we see what Rabbi Chia bar Yosef asked Rabbi Yochanan, and on that basis, what Rabbi Yochanan answered him, they were going to ask the question which is relevant to here, which of course is relevant to relates already to tomorrow's stuff.